So in this video, we're going to see how Russia is processing the attack on Sevastopol. Now, Sevastopol wasn't supposed to be able to be hit, but it has been hit. It was supposed to be so protected because this is the home of the Black Sea Fleet. Well, here's how it's reported in RT, and then I'll show you what Solyov says in just a little bit.
A shipbuilding plant has been struck. This is a plant that is essential for the repair of submarines and Russia's Black Sea fleet. The governor of Sevastopol is on the scene where emergency services are working to tackle what has been described as a huge blaze. Now, according to preliminary reports, at least 24 people have been wounded in that attack. Now, the Crimean bridge has been closed to traffic as a precautionary measure, but the government.
Okay, did you hear that the Crimean Bridge was even closed to traffic as a precautionary measure? They are nervous as the day is long about the Crimean Bridge. And I'm curious. I don't know where this guy is, but he's still wearing his helmet and his flak jacket as if he's somewhere near this, which I'm pretty sure he's not.
Governor says that civilian infrastructure is safe, that Russian air defenses worked to repel another incoming missiles that were launched at the Crimean Peninsula. Russian authorities.
Russian defenses worked? Well, I mean, they repelled apparently 7 out of 10 missiles, but 3 got through and sunk 2 ships. So I wouldn't quite say that they worked.
Say that the situation there is now under control, and the Defense Ministry have released this statement.
Tonight, the Ukrainian armed forces launched a strike with 10 cruise missiles on a ship repair plant in the city of Sevastopol, while 3 Ukrainian unmanned boats attacked a group of Russian ships of the Black Sea Fleet at the sea crossing. Air defense systems have shot down 7 cruise missiles, and the Russian patrol ship destroyed all unmanned boats. As a result of being hit by enemy cruise missiles, 2 ships undergoing repairs were damaged.
Damaged might not be the right word. Damaged beyond repair would be better. It appears that they significantly harmed these ships.
Now, it's not clear at this stage, but of course, Western supplied weapons have been used on strikes in Crimea in the past. Now, Crimea.
Now, that's within the rules. The U.S. is saying, look, anywhere in Crimea is still part of Ukraine, and that's free game. But it looks like it wasn't Western weapons as much as it was S-200s, and those are, Soviet era kind of weapons.
It has become something of an obsession for Ukraine. You'll recall, of course.
Okay, Crimea has become something of an obsession for Ukraine. Let's unpack that. If a robber broke into my house and was rummaging around, looting, they decided to steal all my wife's jewelry. She doesn't have a large jewelry collection, but let's say she did. They stole the crown jewels that we have at our house, right? I might be obsessed with trying to get that back from that robber before he can get away. I might be trying to do that. That's what's happened to Ukraine with Crimea being stolen from them.
The memes that were circulating on social media calling for a beach party celebration in Crimea in the summer. Now, of course, that hasn't materialized. It doesn't look like it's going to materialize anytime in the near future. Ukraine has increased its attacks on the Crimean Peninsula in the last few months. Now, a man and a woman, civilians on holiday, were killed in one such attack in the last few months.
Okay, now that made me mad. That made me mad because they're highlighting the victims of the Kerch Bridge, who they were innocent civilians, but why are you going to Crimea in this time? Where, if you just were proportional about that and you looked at the innocent victims of Russian aggression in Ukraine, there's no contest. I mean, really, that was a real cheap shot by RT.
Their daughter was left seriously wounded and, of course, orphaned as a result of that. But with Ukraine's counteroffensive failing, something which is now
Ukraine's counteroffensive is failing. Ukraine's counteroffensive is failing. Ukraine's counteroffensive is failing. If you just say it enough, maybe it'll come true. That's the standard line that you keep hearing interjected into all of these things. And apparently, they're making progress. Not as fast as we'd like, but they're making
being
progress.
acknowledged by the West. We are seeing more
It's
and
not being
more of these acts
acknowledged by the West. This is like trying to create a narrative out of something that doesn't exist.
of desperation.
Okay, it's
Ship
desperation. Okay. Well, so that was how RT handled it. Let's see what Solyov had to say. And I'm just going to read this and move this forward. We have to realize that this is just the beginning, that the British, German, American, Nazi scum will give the missiles they can, ATACMS, including Taurus. Their main task is to cause maximum damage to the Russian Federation. Yes, we can respond by hitting Kyiv and Odessa, but we need to respond by hitting Berlin, London, Washington, New York, places where non-humans gather. Let's stop there for a moment. So, Americans are Nazi scum. Americans aren't Nazis, but Americans, according to him, are Nazis. Nazi meaning anything that is anti-Russian, not just Nazi like Heil Hitler. But he's saying, let's expand this. Let's hit Berlin. Let's hit London, Washington, New York, these centers. Let's expand the war far beyond Ukraine. They keep saying this. Any place where non humans gather. So, okay, Americans, those in Great Britain and Germany, they're non human. Wow. Okay, administrative buildings, places where these decisions are made. And the military facilities, we must strike Poland, the base where all of this stuff arrives. We must strike the factories that produce it. So clearly, if you take Solyov's advice, you're expanding the war far beyond this. So there's two things that the Russians keep doing. They're threatening to expand the war to make it World War III, and they're threatening nuclear weapons. And they do this again and again and again, to the point that it's lost its force. It's lost its ability to be frightening. There are no other options. This is a war that is already obvious. We are at war with a universal evil. That's how Solyov concludes that, a war with a universal evil. Okay, that's all that I want to bring to you right now. This is the Russian perspective, but the Russians can't see that. It's like the crazy uncle at your relative's party that everybody knows is the problem, that everybody else is kind of tap dancing around, but the crazy uncle doesn't understand it. That's where we are. All right, thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, the coffees, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine. I'll be back tomorrow, and I hope you will be too.